Welcome to the Crypto Podcast. You can find all our episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. Find everything about me, scan the QR code or go to roycon.com. You find my 6 shows. And if you're looking for a virtual assistant, go to va.world. My guest, I believe it's is it the fourth or the fifth time? I always have a fantastic conversation, and we just had a very beautiful conversation there before we started pressing record. I suppose he simplifies crypto. You've developed the crypto investment program, so might have changed, but that's what I have on you. And known as kind of the crypto coach for busy professionals. So I'd say that would kind of sum it up in a short one. So please welcome back Dr. Daniel.
Hey, Roy. Thank you for having me again. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure being here and chatting with you. How are things in your world, my man?
No, they're okay. I mean, I think I'm sure if I mentioned it on the show, but I mean, I'm kind of with the back had a little slip and fractured a few little bones, pelvis and vertebrae and L1. But strap is helping me, and I've got family supporting me, so they're looking after it. They're doing the heavy lifting, which is kind of nice because I've realized actually, and I found that I was doing a load with odd gassing all the different businesses, and I was saying, what's going on in the world? It's going so fast. It's like every year is like a blink. And the first week of after this happening, because I couldn't really do it, and I was like, I've never seen a day go so slow. And it's like things have slowed down a lot. And it's like, okay, I have to slow down to start enjoying life more, because I think sometimes we get just deep into it and then life is just flying by, and we don't need that.
Yeah. It's tough because, I mean, if we enjoy what we do, is it really flying by, or are we actually doing what we love, right? So I think it's a bit of both too, right? As long as we're always doing what we love to do, and I think we're in the right space. Crypto's been crazy the last, probably since we've talked last, and even since before then. And in my time in crypto, I've just seen so much evolution and so much confusion. And I think as things change quickly, what happens is as people start to catch on and learn about crypto, I think what's being taught or what they're learning, as they're learning it, it's already expired because it's been evolving so quickly. So it's been a crazy while, and I did take a bit of a break myself when my little guy was born in May. So I had a good few months. Oh, wait, that was last year. Wow. Time is flying by. I thought that was earlier this year. No, we're in 26. But yeah, I took a few months off, which was fantastic, just to disconnect from, being online 24/7. And now that I've reconnected, and since I'd say September, that's about 4 or 5 months. Yeah, I'm full on throttle and ready to go and ready to have some fun. I'm ready to chat with you and your viewers about all things crypto and what it is and where it's going and where it's at, and however you want to play to them. Pretty excited to be here.
Yeah, no, but I suppose let's see where it is, because you hear people saying it's a bull, it's a bear, and we saw Bitcoin kind of doing a yo-yo and just. So, I mean, it's your bread and butter. You're kind of very close to it. What exactly is happening?
So I tell you, what's happened and where we're at now, because it's very hard to trace. There's been so much going on since the spot ETF was released in the beginning of 24. And, when you look at Bitcoin and Bitcoin being created to be, a decentralized, kind of almost independent asset. The irony is, for it to become mainstream, it's almost now no longer, I mean, it's still decentralized, but the majority of it is going to be controlled by institutions, which is the exact opposite of the whole philosophy around Bitcoin. The whole philosophy of Bitcoin was to be decentralized and, people to have access to decentralized currency that isn't controlled. But, the irony or the paradox is, over time, for it to become mainstream and everyone to have access to it, the majority of it is becoming controlled through institutions and soon to be governments, and currently governments and whatnot. So that's really sort of changed the flavor. So if you look back, in the beginning, they used to talk about a bull and a bear, right? And it talked about a 4-year cycle and about what's called the halving, which you don't need to worry about, especially because it's not really pertinent anymore. So in the beginning, they would say approximately every 4 years, the value of Bitcoin would go up. And it would go up, and this bull season could last anywhere from 6 to about 18 months. And the value of Bitcoin would go up and people would make a lot of money. And then they would sell the Bitcoin, then they would invest in these things called altcoins. And altcoin just means an alternative to Bitcoin. So everything that isn't Bitcoin is technically an altcoin. It's an alternative to Bitcoin. Now, the big ones like Ethereum, it's an altcoin, but it's so big, its market cap is so big that it's called Ethereum. Solana, the same thing. They hear about Ripple, XRP, same thing, but they're all technically just altcoins, alternative to Bitcoin. If you want to get a little bit deeper in that, as anyone who's listening to this, don't really worry about the difference between a coin and a token. That's no longer important. Just to understand it very quickly, when they use the term coin, they were referring to creating a digital currency that could be used as a currency to substitute fiat or your dollars, right? But then there were projects, in the digital world that didn't really, have any use to be a digital currency, but they wanted to assign value for them. And that's where the term token came from. So, if you had a gaming project, you're not going to use and spend that token in Starbucks to buy a coffee, but you needed to call it something. So they called those tokens, but anything like that was, Bitcoin, or that was made to be used like a currency to spend to buy stuff, they termed those coins. But coins and tokens are now interchangeable. Nobody actually cares anymore what it is. At the end of the day, just think Bitcoin and think alternative to Bitcoin. So circling back in the day with these bull and bear cycles, when the value of Bitcoin would go up, and it would go up, people would make a lot of money, they would sell, then they'd rotate that money into the alternative to Bitcoins, into altcoins. And then they would go up in value, then they would sell. And it would kind of happen over a period of 6 to 18 months in this big bull cycle where things would go up in value by 10x or 50x or 100x. And it wasn't really hard. It was like, what they say, just basically shooting fish in a barrel, right? Everything that was there would go up. And most people would say, oh, we're going to focus in on the gaming sector. And then everything in gaming would go up. Then they'd focus in on maybe privacy sector, and everything in privacy go up. And there's things called narratives. And everything within that narrative, or everything like a narrative, would be AI, would be privacy, would be security, would be gaming, would be all kinds of different sort of categories that these crypto things fell within. So in the past, during a bull run, after Bitcoin went up and people sold and made money, they'd invest it, and then everybody would get really excited about a certain narrative. It would go up in value, and then they'd all sell, and it would move narrative to narrative. But then after a while, people would all cash out, and the people coming in at the end, they would be buying the top, and they would be screwed, because then, everything would go down, and there'd be this long bear cycle for 2 to 3 years where, people lose interest in crypto and all the values go down. And then again, it would start up again. And this would happen cyclically approximately every 4 years. And that was the way it was. And there was not a lot of history of, Bitcoin, as we know, 2009 that it all began. So we're just, digging into 17 years here. Those 4-year cycles was kind of the way it was. However, that's no longer the case, right? The majority of Bitcoin is institutionalized. You see it through governments are holding it, institutions are holding it, and now even when they opened up spot ETFs, American people have access to buy it as long-term investments, so they're not really active crypto traders. So as the value of Bitcoin shot up, it's not like people are selling it and rotating it into other coins, which is usually the start of a bull. So that flavor has really changed considerably. Unfortunately, a lot of people are behind on the knowledge, and they still think, oh, there's going to be this, bull cycle where everything's going to go bananas. So that's just not the case anymore. How it works today is, crypto is married to the US economy. It's a risk-on asset, right? So in the US, if you follow what's going on with the Trump administration, they are at a rapid rate passing legislation to allow, crypto to become mainstream, which is very bullish and very strong for crypto. However, what's happening as this is going on, and the majority of Bitcoin is owned through institutional owners and governments, it's not going to be this bull season where people sell a bunch of Bitcoin, make a bunch of money, and put into altcoins. What's going to happen is, as you see a risk on environment, as global liquidity increases, as the Feds cut rates, as people, move their money into the markets, primarily the stock market and secondarily into crypto, then values are going to go up. But it's not going to be this everything in the world going up. I think you're only going to see, what the best of the best is going to work. And over the time, if you look at the amount of, altcoins today versus, only 5 or 6 years ago, I think it's astronomically more. It's out of control. And I think I need to really reemphasize this. 99.9% of all projects in crypto are going to be gone in a few years. They're going to be worthless. Zero, right? 0.01% might make it over 5 years, maybe, right? So for me, when we're talking, long-term in crypto is 2, 3 months. I don't even look past a few weeks sometimes, right? Because there's so much volatility. So the whole, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to store it and someday it's going to go up 10 or 20 or 30 or 40x. That approach really isn't the one I adopt. I work with people who work very hard for their money, mostly busy professionals. And these people generally invest in the stock market, right? And, look at the big seven, or you look at, the different narratives of the stock market now. As you know, commodities are doing incredibly well. The AI, a boom is doing really well. And since Trump announced they want to work with nuclear energy, you'll see the nuclear stocks have been doing really well. So people who are abreast of the stock market and who are investing, whether they're investing short, medium, or long term, and want to get into crypto, I help bridge that gap and bring them into crypto safely through education. So I don't even call it the crypto investment program anymore. I call it the crypto education program, because my focus is on education and educating people in two ways. Number one, not to get scammed and robbed. And as you know, the more lucrative something is, the more it attracts the wrong people. Right? If you look at Vegas back in the day, right? A lot of money in Vegas and then a lot of criminal activity, was there. And with crypto, the same thing. The amount of scams and dishonest people and people out there just to rob and steal and separate people from their money, it's incredible. But not just that, the elaborate scams and the sophistication of the people in the space who are only there to separate you from your money is out of control. And I know you do a lot of, scam and fraud stuff, Roy. I've done three long form YouTube videos on how to get robbed in crypto. And I probably could, and these are 10, 15 minute videos, and I probably could have did 10 more and not stop, because these people are highly intelligent, highly sophisticated. These aren't just, it's never going to happen to me. No, they know their target client and the listeners. Anybody who doesn't know about crypto, who's getting into crypto, when they trust the wrong person, it's done. They will be separated from their money one way or the other. And these are really elaborate. So I really stress on how to enter safely. I also stress that you are a master of your own money at all times. You never give anybody your money unless you never want to see it again, in which case send it to Roy, send it to me, send it with your friends and family. But don't give it to a stranger, because if you give it to a stranger or somebody you think you'll never see it again. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You just won't. You must always control your own assets at all times. So I educate people on how to do that, how to control their own assets at all time, how never to be scammed. And then from there, how to safely invest in a very highly volatile industry, right? Crypto is highly volatile. And then I want to make sure people understand what they're getting into and have realistic expectations. When we transition from the stock market into crypto, I'm not looking for, I don't know. People might want to think they're going to 50x their money or 10. And that's not what we're about. For me, it's like, okay, I want to make sure you're going to go 2, 3, 4, 5x your money in a very conservative fashion, not a long period of time. So within a calendar year, you should at least double to about 5x your money. And those are very conservative and realistic targets if you do it correctly. and you don't want to spend a lot of time from the computer, right? So the systems I teach are very streamlined. They're aimed at people who have a full-time job, who aren't looking for another full-time job. They really just want to be able to, get in, understand the industry, do it safely, move money online, and then invest conservatively, safely in the right assets, doing it at the right time, setting stop losses along the way to prevent yourself from getting hosed on, doomsday, which happens a lot with, the world we live in. Any, geopolitical event that doesn't go well, you'll see a one-day shock. But also teach them that these doomsday events and these shocking events are actually massive buying opportunities to allow them to do very well, right? So that's where I go. And I also educate, my clients on how things are different. We must follow the macro economy of America, right? We know Trump is coming into midterms this year, and midterms are huge, right? We know that even with his want for acquiring Greenland, it cannot happen at the cost of crashing the markets. He is playing chess. He's not playing checkers. He looks like he's playing checkers. He's not. I mean, all the moves he's made, the stock market being at all-time highs, these are all premeditated plans. The market has to stay up in order for him to win midterms later this year. And when the market stays up, crypto is going to stay up. And with the mass adoption, the regulations that they're pushing, the institutional adoption of crypto, there's nowhere for it to go but up. And there's got to be some bumps in the roads. But my thesis right now remains the same. And even if Bitcoin breaks down further, all it is a better buying opportunity, right? It's not going away. It's not going to zero. If it breaks down and loses, support where it's at and goes down to like mid 80s or low 80s, all that does is give you a better buying opportunity to get into the market. And if people really kind of want to understand crypto, it's this. It's not about what the value of the asset you buy gets to. It's really about your entry. Crypto is all about entries. So if you look at assets in the stock market, that's how I look at investing in crypto. So if you talk about crypto, and you're saying, well, to ask 50 people how to make money in crypto, you can get 50 different answers. And there's a million and one ways. But as a busy professional, that's a full-time job to learn all of the different ways. All I do is look at crypto the same as I do the stock market. I want to be able to buy the best assets, right, at good entries, right? So if it's Tesla, if it's Nvidia, if it's Microsoft, if it's Samsung, Google, Meta, I want to make sure that when we buy it, it's at a dip or it's at a lower point, and then we wait for it to go up, and then we sell it, and then we cash in the difference. And all crypto is in the stock market, in my opinion, on steroids. It goes 24/7 and it goes fast and it's volatile. But within the volatility is the opportunity. If you're educated and you're doing it right, the volatility is what gives you all the opportunity. These massive swings is where you make your money, right? And that's my philosophy. But circling back to how it's changed, it is married to the macroeconomy of America. And when things are bullish in the macroeconomy of America, things are bullish in crypto, right? And we're going to see that play out this year in 2026. The thesis still is, because there's nothing, nothing has changed, is said, the table is set for a substantially positive year, barring any geopolitical event. We know that there's always strife with Iran and Israel and states, and that, there was some talk about that about a week ago. The markets digested that okay. The Greenland stuff was, starting to look like it was going to be an issue, and that seems to be okay now. The tariff stuff at the Supreme Court and Trump, those are always issues. See, the market hates uncertainty. And if there's a geopolitical event that creates uncertainty, well, markets hate it and they usually respond. But you look at Trump taking over the Venezuelan oil, the markets digested that okay. The stuff with Israel, Trump, US, and Iran, the markets digested that okay. Greenland, so far so good, right? We don't want to have a massive geopolitical crisis. That's never a good thing for anybody, especially the people that are involved in that, right? From a humanitarian standpoint, nobody ever wants anything like that.
And what about
anything
like he's in Davos at the moment. Well, I don't know, is he
Yes.
gone now? But like he basically ripped Europe apart, like, and saying everything as it is. So yeah, the Greenland thing, that's very strange. But apparently there was someone doing research on that. That's been going on for like over 100 years. They've always kind of wanted that, so that's nothing new. But he talks about climate hoax, and he's just talking about everything and getting the oil prices down. So I think that strengthens the dollar, which in turn then gets the market going as well. The way that when everything he's doing, if he reduces all the oil and gas, that has a massive effect on the economy.
Yeah, I mean, the oil and gas has been going down within America. And at the end of the day, though, we actually do want the dollar to go down in value. When the dollar goes down in value, risk assets go up. When the dollar goes up in value, risk assets go down because the dollar is more strong, and then the treasuries and those yields actually people are more excited about. So it's kind of a bit of a weird thing, but at the end of the day, I think it's all this sort of like juggling act that they do, trying to keep everything. If you look at him fighting Jerome Powell, which was the head of the Fed. And I mean, this is the head of the Fed that he's publicly, been, attacking for months and saying just the worst things about it. But at the end of the day, Powell's term ends in May, and he's being replaced by, someone Trump's placing, and whoever Trump's placing, and he might already decided. Sorry, my head's not. I can't remember the names. I remember those two front contenders. They're going to do what Trump wants. So you're going to see interest rates go down. You're going to see them go down.
He actually mentioned that this Davos thing. He was saying usually people, because I'd get them to have these great jobs, and he said usually they'll do what they're supposed to do, but they end up just kind of ignoring them then and going away doing their own thing. So it depends who's actually controlling the strings inside the Fed, because I mean, some people think it's a government organization, but it's not. That whole thing is strange. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be even clearer, even if he appoints, and he is appointing a new head of the chair, the head of the Fed, sorry, cannot make a unilateral decision. It's still a board that's all voted for, and the head is the head, but he'll control the tone, which is what we want. So regardless of the rate cuts, when you have a bullish tone, or the right tone, it's really positive, right? Powell's tone has always been neutral to negative, which has never been good, right? So at the end of the day, Trump is making moves, based on everything I see, whether you're pro against, I really don't care. I'm pro markets. I'm pro profits. That's really what we're here for. And for me, crypto, as much as I appreciate the decentralized nature of it, and I know that although it's decentralized, the American banks are trying to centralize it, which is why they're having so much issues passing the recent acts and legislature. They had a bit of a fight. You'll see Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, publicly saying, hey, we can't move forward with that recent agreement because the banks want to really control crypto, and that's against everything we want to do. So at the end of the day, as they move forward with it, it's unstoppable. Like it's unstoppable. Like crypto is here, it's coming, it's here. Sorry, it's not going anywhere. It's going to go up in value. And this year, I believe, this will be a very bullish, a very financially profitable year for a lot of people in the industry, but not in the way they think. Not the way that retail thinks, where they're going to come in and they're going to buy something that's going to do 50x, or, most times retail shows up late to the party. They show up after everything. So when Ripple goes from 50 cents to 250 to $3, I'm in the airport where am I? I think am I in Heathrow? Forget where I'm at. I'm in an airport. What international? Maybe Houston, maybe big airport. I'm in one of the lounges talking to, somebody who wrote it up. And I'm like, hey, it's like $2.50, $3. You should take a bunch off, right? And then say, no, it's going to go to $5. It's going to go to $10. It's like, this is how retail rides the elevator up and rides it down. They usually, once they either come in after it's already ran, because they hear so much hype, it's going to keep going. They buy it. Everybody like us sells to them. And then all of a sudden they hold the bags as it goes down, right? With crypto, we have to be aggressive profit taking. I really push taking profits. And if you're unable to take profits, I'll teach you how to set stop losses and then chase your profit with stop losses. So even if you can't take it, it'll happen automatically, because as it goes down, it'll stop you out. So you're always in profit. And these are important lessons I paid for personally. I learned everything on my own. I spent years and lost a fair amount of my not just money, but my holy shit, can't believe that happened. Yes, it's crypto. Anything can happen. So my dad always says every person, pays the price of a lesson from their own pockets. Right. And in crypto, my goal is to save you from paying the price from your own pockets because the price is heavy and the cost of learning crypto is quite expensive when you do it on your own. And, when people work with me, my goal is to save them a tremendous amount of pain and money in that way and help them, learn from the lessons I've learned without having to go through them themselves.
And I know we've touched on kind of the scams at some stage in our previous conversations, but I know that it evolves so much. And I know that even like sometimes people, they kind of enter, they're saying, oh, I just got scammed, they're talking. And then a scammer reaches out and says, hey, we can help you get your money back. You need to, and they get caught again. And
Again,
it's like, what's new in that space? Because they're constantly ahead of the curve. Like they just know what's going on, and they, like, I mean, when you hear of like Mark Cuban getting caught, like, you would think he'd have the people in place. So I have seen so many people getting caught. So it's not on you, it's on them, but you have to protect yourself. So is there anything new that people should be aware of that's this in this
well,
scam?
I don't know how much they're aware of. So last year, I know, and I called this. I was one of the first people to call this. What happened was people were getting phone calls from their centralized exchange. So a centralized exchange is just like a crypto bank account, is all it is. It's called a centralized exchange. So Coinbase, Bitget, Binance, there's a Mexc, Bybit. There's a bazillion of them, right? So they're getting called by supposedly a customer service rep, and they're chatting, and then these reps are incredibly suave, incredibly suave. They know exactly how to play you. They don't move towards you. It could be something as simple as, hey Roy, I'm Daniel from Bybit. Unfortunately, I see there's been 2 attempts on your account. Someone's trying to get in. We've located them. They're in Australia. We're going to block them, but because there's been multiple attempts on your account, we're going to have to shut down your account for 90 days. We're going to suspend it. And then the first question I asked was, what do I do? I was like, well, there's really not much you can do. We're just going to lock your assets for 90 days until we reevaluate this, and we're going to make you redo all your security verification, and then we'll clear it. It might be cleared, as soon as 30 days, but it usually takes 30 to 90 days. And then most people in crypto know they can't have their assets. Well, is there any other option? Well, I mean, if you can open up your own wallet and, you do this, what I can do is have you send, I can send, have you send your assets to yourself, right? Here's a trust wallet we'll provide for you, right? Here's a wallet address. You go ahead, and if you want, you can send them to there, and then, until it's cleared, and then you can send it back. Some version of that, which makes perfect sense, right? Except it's not your wallet. It's their wallet. So they convince you to go on which they have no access to, and send your assets to them. However, this is the thing that got one of my clients. And he's like, well, he goes, they knew about me. They knew my cell number. They knew. I said, you know what? I said, I guarantee you they're leaking information from inside the centralized exchange. And I was correct. And they muted it. 2 or 3 centralized exchanges, people were paying their workers to leak just the phone number, because they come for a text, just the phone number and a few of like basics about them. So they knew your name, they knew your phone number, they knew what you held a little bit. They don't know pretty, but they knew just enough to gain your trust and to be authentic. And remember, these centralized exchanges do texting, but they'll never reach out to you first. And if they do, anyways, I have protocols to prevent all this stuff. But at the end of the day, they are suave. Now, there's other ones too, right? There's really easy ones. Like I could go on the internet and tell everybody and show you YouTube videos how, Jeff invested with me and he went from 1x to 5x. And I can give you references and you can call. And I'll even tell you, hey, you invest with me, you control your money the whole time. I have not, all I do is teach you. I will never hold your money. Now, the platform I use is this XYZ crypto super platform. This is the easiest, smoothest one. Here's my referral code. Get in there. There's no charge. Use that platform, and I'm going to teach you how to make a mint. So you open up an account on that platform, you send your money in, you start making money. What you don't realize until because you throw $5,000 on, and next it's 20 grand, and then you throw another 5,000 and now it's 70 grand, and you're like, holy fucking God, this is crazy. I apologize for swearing. I'm gonna throw 15,000. Next it's 300,000. And you're like, this is awesome. I want to buy my wife a car. I'm going to take out 100,000. You're like, I want to take out 100,000. Oh, okay. On this exchange, in order to take out money, you need to spend $3,000 for the process. You're like, what are you talking about? It's my money. Well, of course it is. But if you want to release, this is the way it works. It's just $3,000. So you'll send you 100,000. It's not me, of course, the guy teaching you. It's the platform. What people don't realize is the scammer owns the platform. You sent your money to a platform that's not tier one. It's not a verified, authentic platform. But as a newbie, as a new person, you have no clue. How would you know that a website and a platform that looks professional, that you have all these people online making a fortune on, isn't real? So you send them your money, you have a fake account that you see as 300,000. Now you want money out. You send them $3,000 to get your money. And guess what they say? That's great. That paid for the first phase. Now we got the check. We got to send it to you. That's another 1,500. And they will keep bleeding you until you give up, and you'll never get a penny. And not to say, don't worry. What the worst part is, Roy, when you're making money, what's the first thing people do? They tell their friends and family. So then people start signing up, and the platforms, oh, I give you a $5,000 bonus if anybody, whatever they put in, I'll give you 50% bonus. You start calling up your buddies. Dude, throw 10 grand in. You'll make 100,000 in under 2 weeks. You get your $5,000 bonus, which you'll never see. It's insane. And it just goes on and on and on. And people lose money. Then they keep sending them money because they keep seeing this number on a screen with their name on it, and they want that number, and they'll never get it. But it's psychologically ravaging. It destroys people. It destroys families. It destroys so much. And these are just a small excerpt, a very small excerpt of how much sinister behavior and how well thought out. I mean, these are just retail scams. Do you know about the Lazarus group, the North Korea group? They've done what, $2, $3, $4 billion now in scams over the past decade, and how they get in. They play the super long game. They start advertising for high-level engineer positions, and they target all the high-level people at these centralized exchanges. I'm not talking lower, I'm talking senior tech, senior managers. And they create these job positions that are tailored, that pay them a fortune. And then all of a sudden, what are they called? A headhunter contacts you, and you're working at this big company that's crypto involved. And then all of a sudden, they will start talking about this position, and they want to recruit you. Then they set up a virtual meeting. All looks good. They send you the link, just open it up. If you take the meeting at work, on your work computer, they embed this virus, and then they somehow are able to access the trust wallet for your company, or some information that allows them to get in. And when they steal, they're stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from these projects, hundreds and hundreds of millions. And then they take it, and then, as you know, crypto is completely transparent. So you can see transfer to transfer to transfer to transfer, wall to wall to wall. But then there are these crypto projects, like I think it's called Tornado Cash, and a few privacy ones, where when you put money in, you can no longer see where it comes out. It's to prevent, it's these privacy things, right? It's to prevent people from tracking you. If you're a billionaire and you want to move money around, you don't want people to see where it's going. So you put it in, it comes out. So they do that to launder them. It's crazy, crazy. And these guys are setting up scams 6 months to a year in advance. This isn't like, and these are, we're talking in everything in between. So, it's not in a manner to scare people. It's just a manner to education. Education is power. That's all it is. Never be afraid to educate yourself. Go online, educate yourself. You don't need me. If you want me, email me. I'm always here. Happy to talk. Daniel@emcdental.ca. It's my email, Daniel@emcdental.ca, or find me on LinkedIn. I don't do social media anymore. I don't bother. It's just too much. The Instagram stuff is just not an area for me to play in. It's just not my playground. I'll be on LinkedIn and direct email me. But to go down to Instagram and compete at that level, I get, the amount of people, it's just a high volume area, and that's just not where I'm at in my age and stage of my career. I am one-on-one only now. I used to do groups, so now just one-on-one. I do a 90-day program and make sure from start to finish, you end up way better than where you started. And I work with people who know absolutely nothing about crypto to kind of dip my toes into. Hey, I've been doing this for a while, but I'm not really making any money. So my program's designed for those who know absolutely nothing, to those who have been doing it, and I ensure that we provide value, or I provide value, to help you get to your goals. At the end of the day, you don't need me, but you should at least have somebody love, and trust, and those who wants to trust you to hold your hand and walk you through it, so you can bend time. But you don't have to spend 2 or 3 years learning it on your own, because that there's a cost for that as well. But yeah, it's not a matter to scare people. It's just a matter to educate people. It's not fun. I've been scammed before in an elaborate ruse when I first started many years ago, and it hurt. It hurt a lot. And, that's the nature of lessons, right? And I paid for that one dearly, and, and it's one I won't forget.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And with the exchanges, right? Because what I found is I played with a few of them, but just through one person that does a load in crypto. He was using Mexc, and he recommended that one for me. So got into it. I was doing a few things, and I know it was about October or something. I said I wanted to take out some money through the ATM near the area I'm at. And it was like they kind of blocked my account, and they said, so I had to put all my details, password or passport and all this kind of thing. It took me over a month to get my money out. And then they had, you must do this picture, you must give 3 months bank statement. And it's like, that totally shouldn't be allowed. Why should I be giving them my bank statement? And what they were asking for as well is the actual proof of the payment to when I joined the account. I mean, lots of times you'll change your bank, so you mightn't have that. And I just thought, this is so stupid. In the end, I went into Trustpilot and just ripped them apart. Then they wrote, and later, a couple of days later, then it was just, but I had to take a picture and my debit card, my passport and my debit card. I hid the 3 digits, hold it up in one picture. And it was like, this is just so stupid. And it was like, I would never recommend them. And like, if I want to buy, all they're doing is they're pushing gambling, really, because every time you go into the Mexc, it's like there's pop-ups, there's
pop up.
it's like, Jesus, I want to just smash whoever decided to do this, but you can't get your own money. And like, I'm not sure are the others like that, but if I wanted to buy crypto in the morning with my debit card or transfer my bank or do it in 2 seconds and I have it done. But yet I had to, like, so much time that was wasted with me just trying to get my own money.
It's a double-edged sword. So just so your viewers understand, there's really sort of like 3 places sort of where you hold your assets. Kind of like, let's just say 4 if we're really going to expand it. So there's financial institutions like BlackRock, where you can buy crypto, but they're going to hold it for you. It's like a bank account where you have all your money in the bank. It's your money, but it's held by the bank, and that's centralized. And so there's that. Then there's, a step, maybe closer to you, which is what's called a centralized exchange, which is basically a crypto bank account, which is what Mexc is. Mexc is not a tier 1. I'm not saying anything bad about it. Clearly, your experience was absolute garbage, so that's horrifying. And a lot of crypto enthusiasts refuse to hold any assets on any centralized exchanges because in the past, they've went down. Right? I mean, when I say went down, I mean, there's been issues and then everyone lost their money. Currently, I think people are being reimbursed 4 or 5 years later from a meltdown that happened, I think, with Luna, but there's been exchanges that have went down and taken everyone's money with them. So it's always buyer beware, but it's no different than having your money in a bank. And whether the government shuts down the bank or the bank goes away, you can't get that money. But it is a bit different because in the beginning, crypto was the Wild West, but now crypto, these centralized exchanges are heavy regulated. So they have many, 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 many layers in place to prevent them from going away entirely. Now, what the difficulty thing is, they don't have a local branch. So you can't go in and sort something out if there's an issue. So when there's an issue, because these centralized exchanges have so many security protocols in place, when there's an issue, it becomes hell accessing your own stuff. So a lot of people don't hold any assets on centralized exchanges. They hold them in what's called wallets. And these wallets, there's two types of wallets. A hot wallet, which is like you just go to any browser and then you download, this app. And there's many different versions of them. Radvi, Phantom, MetaMask is one of the most popular ones. And then you can control that hot wallet, and nobody can access your hot wallet, by the way. You have a 12 word recovery phrase. And if you follow certain protocols, you're fine. And you can, move all your assets there. And that's pretty secure. But the ultimate security is something that's called a cold wallet. It looks like a USB key, and that is, offline. So you can, and that's very, very secure as well. They're impenetrable. If you do buy one, the two most popular ones are ledgers and trezors.
I've got one.
Yeah, yeah, ledger. Yeah. It looks like a USB key.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a ledger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a ledger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the ledger and trezor are the two most popular ones. So those are cold wallets, and those are the most secure things. Even if I took Roy's right now through the screen, can't do anything with it. All Roy does is like, okay, good luck, Daniel, have fun. He goes, buys another one, takes a 24-word recovery phrase, enters it in, activates the other one, as all of his assets are there. And I've got this USB key that is going to be a keychain holder because there's nothing else I can do with it. It's impossible. It is 100% impossible to crack. So there, are areas put in. Now there's some benefits of centralized exchanges, in terms of simplicity, also in terms of stop losses and having some controls. But again, with centralized exchanges, we want to stick to the top tier ones and ones never to have experiences like Roy's. Now, the reason sometimes you have to use something like Mexc or open up, have more than one, is because not all centralized exchanges carry all the assets. So if you're investing only in the best ones, it's easy because the top 20, 30, 40, 50 assets are going to be held by all the exchanges. All right, as you get down into the lower market cap ones, some might consider, if you want to play something that's maybe a little bit riskier with more reward potential, you might have to search onto different centralized exchanges to get it. But most of these can be bought off of centralized exchanges. It just takes a little bit of more crypto know-how. Right? The centralized exchanges just makes your crypto journey simple. However, there's always levels. So after I teach people, if they want sort of like the advanced program and want to, learn a little bit more, there's always levels to learning and there's always more to learn. But I find for most busy professionals, sticking to a tier one centralized exchange, understanding the risks and the pros and cons before you do is very important. I explain that, but usually sticking there, to a tier one and not getting too deep into the hot wallets and the decentralized exchanges, generally works for them. But some people over time want to learn more, and there's always more to learn.
And can a person, do they have to put it on an exchange if they're using it to an ATM, or can they use it? Can they transfer it from a wallet? Because usually what happens, because maybe just for people as well, is you're converting it to USDT, like so there's like
Stablecoin.
Yeah, and can that be done from a cold wallet, or you have to go onto the exchange?
For me, I am unfamiliar of these ATMs that receive crypto in North America or in Canada. We don't have them. I've never heard about them in America either. My imagination tells me, though, if we had a kiosk or an ATM where we go in, I would imagine they would have to provide you with a wallet address to send the funds.
I'll explain how it, because I've used it a few times. You go in and you get either a Bitcoin or Tether or whatever. You hit it and you're either buying or selling. There's a spread. They're charging about 4%. Is what they're actually, that's where they're making their money. And then you just print your QR code. You go into, so for me, it was Mexc. You put in that QR, so you just scan it. That comes up and then it transfers, and then you wait the 15 minutes or whatever. And then you just go back to the machine, scan it, and out comes your cash.
Wow. Okay. So they create a QR code based on the transaction you want to make, right? You take it back to your centralized exchange, and then you have to have it on your phone, and you scan it on your centralized exchange through the phone. Well, it sounds a lot like you would have to do it through a centralized exchange. However, if it's just a wallet address, I don't do anything on my phone, right? Part of my security protocol is I have nothing on my phone, no crypto. So I'm unfamiliar with I don't know how I would do it off of a laptop.
Like other, how I just to kind of how you kind of protect it. Like I had a certain, not a normal email, but a different kind of email that was protected, the authenticator as well. So these codes have to go in with like 30 seconds. So you have to be kind of fast to do this. So you're kind of protected, because I know your phone can be hacked as well. But
no, 100% or 2FA. Yeah. No, we have the 2FA set up. I have the 2FA. You can do email, 2FA, and even text all at the same time to allow you to enter your thing. But even with my centralized exchanges, I actually add another layer of security called a funding password, which is even if somebody stole my phone and took everything, got into my centralized exchange, they go to send out money, they can't, because there's a unique password that's necessary to take money out of my centralized exchange, and it's never been written down. It's only in my head. The only person in the world knows it. But even if you compromise everything, but I'm a paranoid guy, Roy, after everything I've seen. So I don't have anything on my phone. So in terms of I don't know how to scan the QR code, so I guess what I'm saying is, let's just say I had a hot wallet on my phone, like MetaMask. It may have the same scanning protocol as what your centralized exchange does. But at the end of the day, if this ATM gives me a wallet that's unique for me, I can send it from your ledger. You just figure out what asset, what change, what wallet, what the wallet number is, and then you send it there, and it should be there, and you should be able to go back and get it. The difficulty always is when you take a wallet address, you always want to copy and paste it. You never want to type it in manually. So if they give me, a QR code, I need to figure out how to scan it to get that wallet address, and then copy and then just paste it into my Ledger Live, and then send it there. So it should technically be able to send it from a cold wallet, a hot wallet, or a centralized exchange, because it should all be the same, right? It shouldn't make a difference, because you're just sending your assets to a certain wallet address. You're sending whether it's USDT on whatever network you want to send it, whatever amount you want to send it, and it should get there. But that is pretty cool. And it sounds like, that's the way things are moving. In America, after this year, crypto will be accepted in some way, shape, or form at the bank. And I think even right now, they're allowing you to use your crypto as equity to borrow against when investing or buying a house or getting credit on, which is quite absurd, in my opinion, because I can show you my wallet address, and you could see a balance of, let's just say, 50,000. And what if just tomorrow, something happens geopolitically, and that 50,000 is reduced to 15,000? Well, you just gave me whatever 80, 70, or 80% on this 50,000, and then tomorrow it's no longer worth 50,000. So it's a really sort of it's a new area that I chuckle at, that they're going to need to get figured out. But I mean, I think the direction is correct. I think the direction is correct. I think everything is moving in the right direction, and it's moving at a rapid speed. After the Biden administration was out, which was completely anti-crypto, the Trump administration, which is completely pro-crypto, it's moving. I mean, just lightning speed, undoing what the Biden administration did, and then introducing the Genius Act and the Clarity Act, which are two acts to allow regulation and understanding of how crypto is going to integrate into the banking world. Right. And, Wall Street is all moving online. right? So all stocks and stuff at some point will be 24/7, just like crypto. They've already tokenized stocks already, so you can buy them through centralized exchanges. But pretty soon, Wall Street will have to move to be a 24/7 entity, right? Which is crazy. Everything is just moving in this direction. So things are moving at a rapid rate, and we're seeing rapid evolution of the digital era moving into the traditional finance. The banks hate it. The banks are trying to control it because it eradicates the banks. It eradicates so much of their fees. They are very few banks will survive. Most small banks will not survive if crypto adoption becomes mainstream because they will lose all their profits based on how they lend and the little bit they get. Remember, in crypto, when you stay crypto, you get the interest, right? Banks take your money, they give you no interest or little to no interest, and they charge you $1 million in fees every time you want to go to. In Canada, every time I want to go withdraw money, I get interrogated for withdrawing my own money.
That's why I think
What
more
are you
people
talking
will
about?
start adopting it. Like in the UK,
Well,
I think it's down to 1,000. And it's like, what are you buying? Where are you doing? Show me receipts. It's like, what? My money
what?
are asking me. Yeah.
Well, how about this, Roy? If I want to send you $5,000, it's going to cost me at least $50 to send you a wire, and it's going to cost me. I got to get all this stupid information, or I can go online and send it to you to have it in 30 seconds for minimal fee. So once the banks see what's going on, no wonder they're fighting tooth and nail because they know they're going to get eradicated. All the small banks are going to get eradicated. That's why they refused when they. That's why the CEO of Coinbase, Brian, I think Brian Armstrong, when he saw the changes they put into the act, he's like, "Oh no, we're not doing this. The banks are trying to control everything. They're trying to control. We're not. No chance. We're agreeing to that." So you've got the crypto industry, and then you got the banking industry, and you got sort of the government in the middle. Like, well, how are we going to get these two guys to work together? Well, I mean, the crypto is not going to bend to the banks. The small banks are going to have to eat it, and they should eat it, in my opinion. They've been, they've been in our country. You pay money to deposit, you pay money to withdraw, you pay money to put in a check, you pay money to move money, and you get nothing out of it. It's like, I don't get this. You give us no interest, yet you lend our money out at exorbitant interest, right? So you're lending our money out at 10 to 20% what you're getting us, and then you're charging us to hold our money there. It's insane. So I'm happy. Anybody who has a business which, you know, isn't a win-win, for me, over time, at some point, it's not sustainable. And the banks has never been a win-win. The banks have been them win and us go screw yourselves. And by the way, in Canada, when we had the trucking strike, and people sent money to truckers, whether they're friends or family or just we're a very empathetic country. And if I saw this and I wasn't aware, if I sent them $50 because I'm like, you know what, you guys haven't worked, it's whatever here, then the bank seized and shut down every Canadian who sent money, shut down their bank accounts and didn't allow you to access your own money. That's the control they have. It's insanity. For what?
That was
Well,
incredible.
because it's insane. And then they control the media. Our government, the left government, controls the media. So they control the narrative. So guess what? 99% of Canadians have no idea that happened, including me. I had no idea. No idea. They black out whatever news they don't want you to hear. We've also had, and I don't want to go too far off topic, we've also had, relative to immigration, we've also had events that were on a scale of 1 to 10 were 1,000 horrible. And they've completely blacked out the media that 99.9% of Canadians have no idea that people we paid to support to come to our country are shouting on megaphones, death to Canada, death to Canadians, shouting on the parliament buildings. And they've blacked out all the media. They control all the media. So during the elections, they control the narrative. And I don't care if it's left or right. I'm not biased one or the other, but I am pro free society. I'm pro information. I'm pro let the people know everything in the science for themselves. When people control the narrative in the media, they control so much. They have so much power. And the problem is most people don't understand that the media is controlled. to what they consume or they think is facts. They don't understand it's incredibly biased to shape what they think, which is terrible.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen that for years. So everything is like that. And even if we look at the election, something people are thinking that, you can, vote for a certain party. The party that's in Ireland for over 10 years, they've just destroyed the country in Ireland. And I don't know anybody that has voted for them, yet they got a majority between the two parties that came together. So it's like, it's all orchestrated. And would I like to see blockchain done in such a way, but everything can be manipulated? But I think it has to be something like that because, like, I've even heard of cases they cross out the thing. Yeah, so at least
You can't manipulate the blockchain. If elections went to blockchain technology, which is the backbone of crypto, that transparency you can't mess with. I mean, in American, you don't need America. They're saying they made it so you don't need ID to vote. You don't need ID to vote. What? Yeah, you don't need ID to vote. Anybody just come vote. Well, what are you talking about? Yeah, no ID necessary. So what do you think? Like it makes it's just the world when things don't make sense and they're completely off, we have to start questioning why. Who made it this way and who does it favor? Who does it favor, right? When things aren't transparent, who does it benefit? And I can tell you 99.9 times out of 100, it never benefits us, the people. The people get the short end of the stick every single time. It always benefits, whoever's in control or wants to stay in control. It never benefits the people. It's terrifying and horrible. But it's, the world we live in. It's a crazy world, Roy.
yeah, no, definitely. And like you were talking about the banks and the fees they charge, and you were saying like, maybe 50, but they're charged. There was times they charge 5%, even 10% I've seen for the currency exchange and everything. But like I've mentioned it so many times, my pet peeve is with PayPal because they'll charge you so much. You're only allowed to set one currency and then they send it. So if someone's paying me in euro and I've a set in dollars, they're already taking the spread and then they're taking a fee. There's times it could be up to 10%. But then when I try to transfer to a bank, they won't allow me to send it to a US bank account because I've got that. They'll send it as euro and they're taking another fee. And you're like, but I've seen they have their own crypto and I don't know much about it, but I was like, do you know much about the PayPal crypto?
Yeah, I know that they started off thinking it'd be a dang and then it got no attention. Because I remember reading about it, but no, I don't know much about it. I think so many of them tried creating their own, their own thing, but crypto is a very vicious world. And, we have to understand just because they tried to, I mean, how many people are making their own stable coins left, right, and center? It doesn't mean go do what you want to do. It just, who knows where it's going to end up? Maybe it'll end up being successful or not. But right now, in crypto, whatever gets the spotlight, whatever gets the attention does well. So when there's no news on something, there's just no news on it. So PayPal gave it a try. It's all horseshit. It's all going to go away. Who's going to need PayPal with this crypto?
Yeah, exactly.
It's more secure. It's faster. There's no fees. And crypto is the way to do it. You have a wallet. I have a wallet. Our wallets are private. It's like you have your wallet and you're sitting on your wallet. Do you remember we used to have wallets? We walk around and, women had their, their purses and their little, and all the cash is in there. And so you have your wallet and it's, beside you and I have my wallet and I want to send you $50. Well, I open up my wallet, I take out 50 and it throws through the screen and ends up in your wallet. That's crypto. That's how easy it is. Who do I have to pay? Nobody. Who did I give it to? I gave it to Roy's wallet. Can it be stolen? No. I just need to know your wallet number. I take out my wallet, I put it into your wallet, it's there instantly. Forget all the banks. Why do you want to store all of our money in a bank when we can store it online? And if we want to earn interest, we can. Not that I do that. And I don't stake my crypto just because I just don't trust. I mean, who knows? You stake it with a company and even though they're legitimate, who knows what can happen? Plus, I like to have control of my assets at all times. Right. So I want to make sure I have my money, but they're not paying me any interest. So why should I let them hold it? Every time I want to get my money, they want to charge me. If I want to send you money, everything I do, I'm here away. I go to an ATM outside of North America. I am being charged an exchange fee and a 10% fee above it. I was shocked how much money. And plus I'm Canadian. Our dollar sucks anyways. Everything runs on the US dollar. It costs me $1.40 or $1.41 to buy $1 US. So I'm writing it down 40%. And then with these fees, it's insane. It's like, what are you talking about? You're taking a service fee, an ATM fee, and a 10% fee on top of that, and the spread. Crazy. But
And
that's how they make the
and
money.
like at these exchanges, how they catch people? They say no commission, but they have their spread. And even at the airports, it's 25%. And people go no commission, and their brain thinks I'm getting the same rate. And I just when I see people handing thousands over, I want to cry. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Listen, as a little thing I discovered this time, I used a company. There are these companies called, oh my God, what are they called? I forget the term. I can look it up though. But anyways, I think the one I called was called Remittance. Was called Remittance, and there's a few of them really good ones.
Revolut is very good for because you pay, like I pay about, it's less than a tenner, and I get 0.03. It's fantastic.
Same thing. I think that's what I use. Remittance no, they're called remittance companies. I use Revolut. Yeah. That's the one I use. It's incredible. I attach them to the account temporarily. I send them the money. They get the money, then they do their magic, and they give me a receipt, or sorry, on just on my email, on my phone, a reference number. I go to the bank, give them my passport, give them my reference number, and then they give me the money. Now, of course, where I'm at now, the bank had its own fee. So the bank got me. And I was like, of course you do. Yeah, we have to take this whatever processing fee. I'm like, yeah, sure you do, which they don't. And so they got me a little bit, but still, it was the most efficient way of me getting money ever. Don't have to carry a border. I don't have to go to these cash places. I just send it over. I go down, pick it up. It was beautiful. 24 hours. Best thing ever. Yeah. So there are good things. Yeah.
With say like people creating their own coin, because there's companies now that are kind of advertising that service, or people are using the AI. Hence why I think it's gone through the roof, the amount of coins. As you said, something like 99.9% will disappear, because sometimes it's a bunch of influencers go together and they,
the scam pumps. Listen, your listeners, I didn't even bother covering that, because by now everybody should know what a rug pull is, and what a scam is, and what a pump and dump is. Everybody should know. There was so much of that last year. I just, and it's really, really hard, because even though it's so common knowledge for us, anybody in crypto knows, anybody new to crypto, remember, people are very binary as crypto. They either, they've either heard of it, but know nothing about it, or they're kind of into it. Very few people are kind of in the middle. The people in the middle are generally moving to educate themselves. So all the new people that show up, they may not have heard of a rug and pull. They are a pump and dump or a rug pull, right? But yeah, I mean, these things, anybody, you and I can create a coin, and we can pay a bunch of celebrities or these YouTube people, and then people who are following financial advice from a 20-year-old on TikTok at 2:00 in the morning shocks me. It just shocks me. It's just like, yeah, I saw this, person who said this thing is going to go here, so I'm going to take my money and buy it. What? Like, what? They don't understand but they will learn. And like I said, life is a teacher, and the universe will teach us everything we need to know. So if you don't know that, and you need to learn that lesson, you'll learn that lesson. But no, that's why I don't even go down that road with my clients. My clients are not looking to make, retirement money, and they work, and they just want to say, hey, I invest in stocks or real estate or whatever, and I want to diversify into something a little bit more volatile, a little bit more high risk, but I want to mitigate the risk as much as possible. Perfect. Let's mitigate the risk. Let's work with you and help you grow your money safely, as risk-free as possible in the highest risk, most volatile industry there is, right? Crypto, right? So that's why I stick to the best plays and the best narratives, and I don't go down the chain into this, you can throw, this, and this is going to do this, and we don't care. We're not looking for that, right? The more money you have, the less you have to make. And the less money you have, the more you try to make. And it's just this backwards thing that just doesn't work, right? The people with the least amount of money take the most amount of risk, and they're the ones that can, those are the ones that should be, they can't afford the high risk. And the people with the most amount of money take the least amount of risk, and they're the ones that can afford the high risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just how it plays out.
Yeah, excellent. Listen, Daniel, as always, thoroughly enjoyed it. And you have to come back again, because every time we meet, you always share fantastic information. And I just love your style and our conversations. So you might let the listeners know where they can find you.
Yes, again, if they made it this long, high five to you, Roy. I mean, we talk. But yes, again, you can always find me. Just email me, Daniel at EMC, like Einstein, emcdental.ca, because I'm Canadian, or find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Daniel, not hard to find. Either one, just send me a message, and always happy to talk, happy to help. And we can always have a conversation to see where it goes. But Roy, it would be a pleasure. Always a pleasure chatting with you. Happy to come back anytime. Let's see how, this crazy world happens over the next few months. There's never a dull moment in the world and in crypto. Never a dull moment.
Absolutely. No, perfect. So I'll make sure I put the links both on the audio and the video. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Right.
You have a good one.
You too. So that's all for the Crypto Podcast. You find all our episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. Find everything about me, scan the QR code, go to roycon.com. And if you're looking for virtual assistants, go to va.world. Until next week, take care.